Welcome to Mr. UFC Vegas Fight Club TV. I am Kyle, your host. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the bet review show for UFC Fight Night 142, Junior Dos Santos versus Tuivasa. We're going to get into our best bet that was for purchase on Wagertalk. We're also going to talk about our free play and our overall feeling on this card. But before we do not forget to subscribe, like, head kick the bell icon, get involved with Fight Club TV. It's a growing UFC and gambling channel all in one spot. And do not forget to comment down below as well. I continue all of these conversations throughout in the comment section, during the events, after the events, and always I try to answer as many of the comments as I can down below. And a great community that we have here, and I appreciate all of you that have been supporting. So the first thing we'll do, we will talk about the best bet play. The best bet play was on Justin Willis to defeat Mark Hunt at UFC Fight Night 142. And this fight here, this was one that you take a look. Justin Willis versus Mark Hunt. Hunt being on home soil, a tough fight. But for me here, the big thing that I liked about Justin Willis and why this was another great victory for our best bet play was you take a look at it, and I think the first thing to me was the age. You've got Mark Hunt, who's pushing 45 years old, who has really decreased. But the big stat that I think that just shows over time, he is a known fighter. He is a fan favorite. People love the way that he fights because he goes in there and he just brawls. But the fact prior to this fight, he's 13-13 over his career. Over his last 9 fights since 2014, he's 3-6. And over his last 5 fights, he's 1-4. So things have changed. Although one of those losses was Brock Lesnar, and it was pulled back, obviously due to his steroid use. But things have changed for really where Mark Hunt is. He's a legendary fighter, a groundbreaking fighter. He's fought, some of the biggest organizations overseas, and he's always been a very relevant fighter. One, because of his style, his likability. But for me in this fight, this was a changing of the guard for me. And then if you want to take a look, you go in the comment section, you can take a look at my write-up. For those of you that do make the purchase for Wagertalk, on Wagertalk, you will see that's the wrap that you get prior to the event. And for me here, I just didn't see where Mark Hunt was going to find some success. The big part also is that Justin Willis has great boxing. There is no doubt he's got great boxing. And he has a 6-inch reach advantage here. He's going to have a little bit more. He's going to be quicker. He's got faster hands. So there's a lot of things I liked about Justin Willis going into this fight. A lot of people that I talked to liked Hunt here, liked him being home, liked him getting that knockout victory. But to me, I just didn't see enough where Hunt is going to have the energy to push. And someone like Willis wants to be patient. And I love his patience every one of his fights. Although in this fight, I gotta say, he was a little too patient. There were spots where he could have thrown a 3 or 4 punch combination where Hunt was starting to really decrease. I didn't see much energy coming from him. Even in that first round, if you take a look at it, Hunt was not doing anything. Hunt looked exhausted midway through that first round. And I was actually surprised that it was to that extent where I'm thinking, hey, get you late into that second, push into that third round, and Willis will just be able to jab Hunt to death and get this decision victory. But it was the first round. Hunt had his hands down. He was taking in big breaths. He was taking in some big breaths. He just didn't have it. And I was shocked at, wow, it's at this point in the first, he is exhausted, and Willis loves to just take his time, throw his jabs, and work from the outside. And he did exactly that. I didn't see Hunt throw as many leg kicks. That was something that I was definitely worried about going into this fight, if Hunt was going to work those leg kicks and really soften up Willis, and then Willis all of a sudden is not able to really move around the cage, and that's when possibly Hunt can throw that bomb and change the fight. But early in that fight, it looked like Hunt had nothing in the gas tank, and Willis just continually, just systematically pushed through that fight, winning every round. But the thing that I just didn't understand was there were spots where Willis, who looked like he had enough in the tank, he's definitely not, a guy that's the cardio king or anything, but he definitely, I felt like, had enough in the tank to push a combination forward, to really either put Hunt away or at least cause more damage. There was spots where Hunt had his hands completely down and there was nothing going forward for Willis. So I was a little bit confused why he wasn't pushing forward, although it could have possibly been that he did not want to expose himself for a big shot for Hunt to change the fight, and just felt that, hey, at this point, Hunt is not stopping my jab. I'm able to throw a little 1-2 and just give enough where Hunt just was almost backing up, and he looked terrible. I mean, Hunt looked worse than what I thought he would look. But a big part also to me was I like the camp that Justin Willis comes from. I mean, you come from a camp with, Khabib, Luke Rockhold, Daniel Cormier. I mean, you're around a bunch of killers all day long, grinding it out with them, sparring with them, working strategies with them. For a guy who's very hungry and a big up-and-comer in this division, I think he can really, if he pushes himself a little bit more, I think Willis can be really a powerhouse within this division. I mean, there are some killers very, moving to those top, the top 4 or 5, there are some definite killers there. But I think Willis, if he continually elevates and moves forward, I think he can definitely find himself in a great spot for title contention, or at least one of the top 5. And that will be interesting to see what he does there. But he does get the victory here. It gets us the win on our best bet play. So now on our best bet play, we are 28 wins, 12 losses, plus 27.15 units for the year. So we were right at that 70% mark. We've been teetering around that 68, 70% mark, right exactly on 70% for the year, with every one of our best bet plays on fighters with odds of minus 190 and below. And out of our last 9 best bet plays, we are 7-2. And out of those 7 wins, 4 of those are coming on underdogs between plus 115 to plus 130. So we are all over the place here. We are really hitting the underdogs and some of these slight favorites, finding the value where the line is really not dictating where this fight should go, and we're really able to pick those apart. So I am on fire right now, and again, I appreciate those that did make the purchase on Wagertalk. I appreciate those that were in the comment section on my prediction video during the event. Great conversation with a bunch of you guys, and again, we continually move forward, keep hitting, and it's another great victory for us here. And again, there are so many fights back to back, finishing out through December, that there is not even enough time for me to celebrate a win or even be down on any type of loss, because it's just, you got to move forward. I'm already looking at UFC 231, Ortega versus Holloway, and there's some fights there that I'm taking a look at there for my next best bet play. So I appreciate everybody again that has been making the purchase, and those of you that are continuing to be a part of this Fight Club community. So the next one we're going to look at was the free play. The free play was between Junior Dos Santos and Tai Tuivasa, and here you've got Tuivasa versus JDS, and Tuivasa, to me here, I think he had the right decision going in there. I think he had the right idea, going into this fight. The big thing that I did not like about JDS was the fact of the way that he's been fighting over his last few fights, and just what he did against Ivanov in the fight prior, where he just looked like he was scared. He was scared to exchange. He didn't look like he was pushing forward, gun shy in spots, where a guy like Tuivasa is going to push forward, going to force the action, going to force you to fight, and push him up against the cage, which for some reason Junior Dos Santos does not like going against the cage, but he continually lets himself go up against the cage. Somebody like Tuivasa, who is a little bit and we talked about this in the prediction show, definitely an inexperienced younger fighter, raw talent, who's moving up, who definitely has great ability to move forward. But he could have done more in certain spots, and then completely got lackadaisical, where Junior Dos Santos was able to land one big shot, put him down. But then the even worse part was then Junior gets on top of him, which is already spells complete disaster for Tuivasa. But he's punching from his back with Junior Dos Santos in full mount. I did not understand what he was doing there, but that just shows the inexperience of Tuivasa, where Tuivasa was he should have been really jockeying for position, looking to kind of center himself and try to get out. Instead, he was looking to fight that, in that kind of position is a lose-lose when you've got somebody like Junior Dos Santos laying across you, dropping bombs. So that fight there, it ended up being Junior Dos Santos did get that victory. And for me, I'm not really big on Junior Dos Santos moving forward. I didn't think this was a great showing for him again. I don't think it was a great showing for the caliber of a fighter that Dos Santos is. A world champion, a guy who's fought some of the best in the world. I just feel like there is a decline happening. And again, Ivanov, that fight was a terrible showing for him. This fight here, again, he got the finish. I have to credit him on that. Got the finish against a guy that is an up-and-comer, who I do believe in. I believe in Tuivasa. But I think that if Dos Santos, he puts together 2 wins, now Dos Santos is going back into the lion's den of all these tough fighters that are in that top 5, top 6 are tough fighters. So I don't know if he's able to beat any of those guys up there. I think he can beat this level, it's where he's at now, but I think going back in to that upper echelon guys, I don't know if he's got that ability to do that. We will see, and it'll be interesting who they put him up against. And then the last fight I wanted to talk about was Shogun versus Tyson Pedro. I mean, Tyson Pedro, I did not have a bet on this, but Tyson Pedro was a monster favorite, was a minus 510 compared to Shogun was around plus 300, plus 275, kind of wherever you're shopping it. And this fight, this was something that was really supposed to highlight Tyson Pedro. This was supposed to be that phenomenal knockout, that you can kind of say, hey, look, he knocked out a legend. This was really supposed to build him up. And when he came into this fight, he was doing well. Early, he was doing well. In that first round, he was landing some shots. But, I mean, definite toughness from Shogun. But there were spots he could have probably finished the fight. And then he allows Shogun back into the fight. And just, there's some sloppy, exchanges with Pedro, allowing Shogun to continually press forward, and the size advantage, there's the reach advantage, there's the strength advantage, so much on Tyson Pedro that I really thought this was going to be a complete murder of Shogun. I mean, this was not going to be a guy that was going to be able to really withstand much, and he didn't. Early on, he was already on wobbly legs. Shogun was on wobbly legs early in that fight, and I'm saying this is it. He's gonna throw some spinning kick and just knock his head into the front row. And Shogun kept pushing forward. I mean, definite credit to him. He kept pushing forward. He is a veteran. He has always been a tough guy. But the fact he was able to put away Tyson Pedro, you have to completely downgrade Tyson Pedro. And we were talking about this, a few of us on the prediction show comment section. And, people were, oh man, this is going to be, and all of us, we're saying this is going to be a landslide, lopsided knockout for Tyson Pedro. And he just couldn't do it. And now looking forward, and the way I always like to look at these things is, what did we learn from even this fight? And this fight here is, you got to completely downgrade Tyson Pedro. Tyson Pedro is a well-rounded fighter. I think he has really got great skill set overall. But when you can't really take out an aging, declining, really hardly have a chin anymore kind of fighter like Shogun, how do you not take down where you really believe that Tyson Pedro could go? I like him as a fighter. I think he could really do a lot, but this was the fight where it's supposed to showcase his ability. It did not. It went completely wrong. I mean, I think it would have even been a bad thing if Pedro just won by decision. This was a fight just tailor-made for him to just dominate, walk through a smaller guy and Shogun, and it didn't happen. It was pretty crazy that he did get that victory there, a huge underdog. So let me know if any of you guys had Shogun, because I definitely did not bet this fight. I definitely like Pedro, but I thought the odds were just out of control. Didn't really make too much sense. So there you have it, guys. The next one we will be doing is UFC 231. And I have some definite nice plays that I can't wait to talk about on the prediction show coming up in a few days. So don't forget to subscribe, kick the bell icon, get involved with Fight Club TV. And this is Mr. UFC Vegas, Fight Club TV.